Is that Wishlist app? Is that Wishlist King?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember you telling me you started using that one.
They might have changed their name.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. All the weird app name changes. It's probably called WK Wishlist King now. That's what everybody did. They just ended up
have wishlist in your name.
They just ended up prefixing it with a couple initials. This episode is brought to you by Smile.io, the loyalty platform trusted by thousands of the fastest growing Shopify Plus businesses to increase repeat purchases, reward VIPs, and build lasting customer relationships. Smile helps businesses become more profitable while discounting their products less. You got to be careful with the discounts. You don't want to push too hard on the discount pedal. If you're ready to turn transactional sales into lifetime customers, start building a more profitable business with Smile.io today. What's up, broski?
What is up?
Dude, so you're like, yeah, there's going to be a hailstorm, might lose power. 26 minutes later, you're like, it's sunny outside. We're good to go.
Yeah, I feel like if I told someone it hailed, they would tell me I was lying because it's like, it's all gone now. But there were some golf balls coming out.
Are you serious?
My cats were so scared. I thought for sure I was going to lose I have a Bradford pear tree, and those are like notorious for crashing.
Right.
But it's still hanging in there.
Nice. Wait, so like your windshields don't get broken in when you get golf ball sized hail?
I was very scared to open the garage door and look, but yeah, it was fine. Took it like a champ.
Nice, dude.
Volkswagen Atlas. They've been engineered by the Germans to resist hail damage, I guess.
Can't beat that 1980s German engineering.
Yeah.
Nice. That's funny.
But you haven't had much hail lately?
Oh, dude, it's starting to get hot, actually. It's starting to hit high 90s, so that'll be the next thing we'll be complaining about. Yeah, it was like nice, like 70s, sunny spring weather for like 3 days, and then hail, and then nice for 2 days, and then hail, and then nice, and then hail. And then
flip-flopping.
And then it was like no hail, but it's in the 90s now, so
have fun with that.
Yeah. It's like, good luck. It's like how the Shopify guys are with the review kills. Yeah, good luck.
Quite the segue.
Okay, first, before we get into that, dude, because I just pulled up this list of events. Shout out to Jordan Pimsicle. Pimsicle.app/events. He put together a list of all the different events at Editions.
Oh.
And dude, there's just way too much going on, dude. It's kind of depressing because everything is like request access. Like you're not gonna.
How do you spell Pimsicle?
Pimsical.
That's what
Check
I thought.
out Pimsicle.app for all your PIM needs. Coupon code. Coupon code
Swagatories.
So
nice. Oh, I like this.
Yeah,
well,
so it's cool he put this all together because I knew there was a bunch of stuff going on that I'd want to at least sort of kind of figure out, but he put it all in here. So there's a friggin' Padel tournament, which is, have you heard of Padel? Padel, paddle, however you say it. It's kind of like pickleball, but it's like the ball bounces off the walls. It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like pickleball and racquetball combined type of a thing. And I've never played it before, but apparently it's pretty, I'm bothered that they didn't do a pickleball thing instead, because I would have freaking rocked it, dude. I would have
consulted you.
Yeah, I would have destroyed. Would have absolutely crushed. But, and then, I don't know, dude, there's so much stuff. There's an apps and acquisitions. Loyalty Lion Partner Dinner. If you look at the picture on this Loyalty Lion Partner Dinner, dude, this is the fanciest room I've ever seen in my entire life. You see that?
Wow. Yeah.
You're like, I've seen fancier than that, dude.
No, I'm not a dinner person.
I would be uncomfortable, especially being in such a like
Yeah.
fancy dinner that was sponsored
Do
by
I need to
somebody.
like sit up straight the whole time or
Yeah, but I'm just saying
how many
it's
forks do we need?
yeah. What's what's the fork strategy here? Can somebody help me out? But still, it's just like and then there's an exclusive rooftop editions pre-party. I was like, that looks rad, but it's like exclusive for I think it's like for Shopify, Shopafolk, which I refuse to say that
Shuffle.
word. It just bothers me. Shopify employees
It's out
and
there though.
it's out there. You can't deny it. But yeah, I have to very consciously, decide and commit to never saying it. But that looks cool. But I don't think. I mean, I don't know how the hell you get into that one. That one looks kind of fancy.
It's all part of the game. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, let's figure that out. Let's see if we can get into that. Then there's the Judge Me party. Did you slide into that yet?
I didn't. I was not able to slide in, and
Damn.
also I was not aware of this list, and so I just switched my flight to be on the 29th. So I'm coming in on Thursday.
Thursday. Dude, you're a madman.
But it looks like there's some stuff happening on Thursday also.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of stuff,
Oh,
dude.
it's all running though. I'm not a
There,
runner.
yeah, there's two runs, dude. There's two runs. There's SDA, Shopify Dev Alliance is doing a run, and then TFI Digital, where that they're doing a run. There's
Dang, I got to get my finger on the pulse of this for next year
yeah,
early.
dude. This is just out of control. There's this yoga thing in the morning. Honestly, I might even try to check that out.
Yeah,
Rise and
yoga sounds good.
Revive. Dude, I love a little bit of yoga. I haven't done it in a long time, but anyways, there's an e-commerce corral. Wait, what time is that? That's 8. Okay, so May 29th, which is Thursday. Thursday. There's the
Yeah,
additions.
Thursday night editions thing,
So
and then
there's the
something
additions thing,
afterwards.
and then
Nice.
the e-commerce corral is something afterwards. So I need to see if I can get into that one.
Yeah, I gotta try and slide into that too.
That looks pretty cool. Yeah, let me join that waiting list. All right.
Let's
Anyways,
see.
dude, this is stressing me out a little bit, but I just joined the wait
Join
list.
waiting list. Here we go.
Wait, and then there's another Padel thing on the 30th, which is crazy. Okay. Anyways, that's enough about that, dude. We're gonna go. We're gonna have a good
It's
time.
happening.
Dude,
It's coming up.
it's
Couple
a lot of
weeks.
stuff. I was talking to my friend, and I was like, "Hey, he's more of a business guy," and I was like, "Hey, are you gonna go to Additions?" And I haven't seen him in a while. I used to hang out. Like I was thinking about him because like I'd have fun hanging out with him at like Magento events.
Hmm.
He's like, well, my son has a graduation, so I don't know if I can make it. I was like, he'll live. Just
That's not that important.
but yeah, dude. Back to the review situation.
Review again and lots of Geddons lately.
Yeah, so some people are like, hey, I have all these reviews, these like legit reviews I worked hard for, blah, and they're upset. And then other people are like, well, like all the apps I've seen have gone up in score, so your app should be going up in score. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of even done talking about it because I've been tweeting about it like an idiot all day.
Well, it is interesting seeing everyone talk about like how many of their reviews got removed, and I wonder what the criteria was for removing reviews.
Yeah,
Someone said something about if you got the review while your app was free and now it's not free, that seems like something interesting. And then I saw
right. That's true.
Dave Lazar, I think is how you say his name, Hunky Bill. He
Hunky
said
Bill.
something like people are mad about getting reviews removed after they helped the merchant, but maybe their app shouldn't have needed help or something like that. He's always got some little quips.
Yeah, yeah, he does. I mean, and to be honest, I think it's like if you're an app developer, you put so much blood, sweat, and tears into those things that
Sure.
it's so easy for everybody else to be like, kind of be hand wavy about it. But I mean, I've taken a couple very small stabs at a public app, and it's so hard. So
Rough
like,
out there, I bet.
yeah, so like, I think you'd be heartbroken. Like if you're
Totally.
unless you're just like sailing through life because your app is so big that it just doesn't matter. Like it's not going to
Hmm.
affect you at all, and you don't even do development anymore. You just like ride on boats and like watch your revenue numbers go up. You know, like
That sounds like the ideal, but I don't know how many
yeah.
people are actually doing that.
But I think anybody that's day to day like struggling with their app, like it's just a dagger through the heart, dude.
Totally. There's a lot of independent
It's-
developers out there who are,
yeah,
like they rely on this stuff. And
yeah.
so,
It seems like I don't know what the hell their process was, like probably just threw it into a prompt and just let it rip. But um, like
I'm sure they'll get some questions about it in a couple weeks.
yeah, but I feel like even if you had, a handful of like developers that were in your like council, like remember Magento would have like little councils of people that they'd run stuff by or whatever.
Hmm.
Like if they had something like that and then they just like pre-flight ran them by, we're like, hey, here's the like reviews that are going to be deleted. Like, do you see any red flags? And then they'd be like, well, yeah, like half of these are really legit, meaningful reviews. I feel like
Yeah,
they didn't. I'm sure they had some sort of a thorough process. They must have.
totally. Yeah,
It's
that's why I
just kind
would
of weird.
like, I don't know if we'll ever know, but it would be nice to know what the criteria was.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking because like there's some definitely legit reviews that were removed, but maybe that review was legit, but maybe that reviewer did some other BS review, and because of that,
Mm,
their whole account got flagged or something like that.
yeah.
Um,
I'm wondering if
but
there's also something like the store that left the review no longer has the app installed or something like that.
yeah, oh yeah,
That would be
actually,
weird.
that's a good point. I haven't seen people mention that specifically. I've seen a couple people mention that the store was still active. They're like, "Hey, the store's still active. It's a real merchant," and they deleted the review.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
active as a store, but like not necessarily has the app still installed. But even still, I mean, if you uninstall an app after 2 years and you used it for 2 years, like that should still be valid. I think.
True. Yeah.
Um, it's funny because everybody's ranting about like all this crappy review stuff and the ransom reviews, and it seems like they're taking that serious and trying to improve put some guardrails in place. It's just weird that it like shook out like this.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. Like Shopify's got to do some sort of stuff to make sure the App Store doesn't feel like junk. And
yeah,
so I trust that they're trying to do something that's in the best interest of merchants or people who are using the App Store.
yeah,
But I mean, it's obvious that it was abrupt and not everyone was happy about it.
yeah, yeah. Sidekick is coming along. It
Is it?
looks like yeah, because like I remember I had messed around with it a little bit at first, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, didn't seem that interesting, and I think they hooked it into the MCP so that it can do queries now. And I
Mm,
tried testing it out. Like I tried asking it about like some like, hey, tell me my revenue the last 30 days, and it did like an analytics query, which they probably have a whole class of prompts that are like tied into analytics queries. But I didn't get it to actually see it do a query. I don't know how it would work, but I saw a bunch of people saying that it does queries and that it's going to do mutations soon, which is pretty cool. And they said they're working on some kind of a really slick interface to like kind of like make the mutations safe or like I guess they're going to give some kind of a cool preview or something like that, which is that's pretty awesome. Like
yeah, that seems like
yeah.
something you should probably do.
Yeah.
Like the use case that I think that they led with when they first started talking about Sidekick was like, change my theme for me.
Oh, okay.
That seems like a
That's
like, all
crazy.
right, yeah, change the theme, but then
That's
Sidekick,
insane.
can you also like go through all of my whole website and tell me if anything doesn't look right because of what you just did?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's insane. I was thinking it's kind of insane how I know we've talked about this before, but it's kind of insane how non-upgradable themes are. Like
Mm.
not in theory, but in practice. Like that's kind of nuts. Like it's like you work off the theme at whatever version you bought it at, and then for the next 6 years, you're not going to update the theme.
I mean, maybe someone does, and I just suck, but I don't.
That's the thing. I don't think. I think if people have an off-the-shelf theme, then yeah. But like if you're customizing it, I don't think anybody. I mean, I'm sure there's the outliers, but I think most
Mhm.
90% of people they just don't. I mean,
Yeah,
like
I bet there are agencies who have like their base theme, and if you're working with them, they try and make sure that like the new stuff that they come out with gets ported into your theme.
right,
And then like they're super careful about what they change because they know what their upgrades are going to look like
right,
or something like that. But
right,
yeah, I mean, for the themes are so simple. It's just JSON and HTML basically. I mean, Liquid is like HTML preprocessor, so it's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I didn't do it the right way, but um, yeah. I mean, you got to go in there and make changes for things, and you can't always anticipate what the upgrades are going to be like.
yeah. I haven't really heard of anybody like. I don't know if there is a like a right way.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting security updates through the platform itself, not through the theme. So
Right.
the downside is a little bit different too. Like the downside is maybe you don't get the new section, but you can like sections are just HTML files and JSON, so you could always grab those if you want them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's kind of a feature in a sense, the fact that you can have such an old theme and still get
Totally.
platform updates, not have to think about security. Yeah, maybe that's sort of a good thing. But it just feels like there should be a way to have like a custom section in your code that overwrites the core, and then like the core, you
Yeah.
know, is untouched. But even that in practice always got weird, with Magento, like keeping all your stuff and like figuring out how to layer everything on top of the core
Yeah.
always got complicated too, I feel like.
It did, and it was a little bit more dangerous there because that had security
Yeah.
implications. But here, like the core here is the API layer, and you're not going to do
Yeah.
anything with that. So
Right. 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 Right.
kind of we're in our sandbox and play around there, which
Right.
it feels great. Like it feels like you can move so much faster than on Magento with like like we have a launch coming up next week, and we're still talking about some little things that we might change about the experience. And like back in Magento days, it would have been like, no, there's no way we're changing anything with 1 week to go.
Right.
But our
Right.
development process is just so much faster now because
Right.
we're in the sandbox.
Nice. Nice. And then this dude, Jason, I think his agency's called Negative Space. He came out with like a cart deal. I don't think it's an app or something. It's basically like a replacement for what's that one called? Recart. What's the one called that everybody uses for their like little side cart that has like the little progress bar and the like
Oh yeah,
upsells and like
there's a bunch of
ah
those.
there's a couple that I are pretty popular and they're pretty expensive. But yeah, it's basically like a more customizable type thing. So I think if you buy the cart, it's like you're buying the code and it's like meant to be customizable.
Cool.
So it's not a SaaS model; it's like an owned model type of thing. And I took a quick look at it. Looks pretty good.
So it's you buy the code and then you integrate it into your existing theme, I guess is how
Yeah,
that works.
yeah, yeah,
I guess one benefit of that would be if they have some sort of defined interface for how you should do certain things or like opinionated ways on how to do certain things in the cart. Like, for instance, what if in my empty cart I want to show some recommendations or if I have something in my cart, I want to show add-ons for those products. That
yeah.
would be interesting
I
if that's what
Yeah,
it was.
I think that's exactly the kind of stuff that it has, where it's just like built to be customized. Whereas I think, and I haven't really worked with these SaaS things too much, but I think that the SaaS carts, like they've got some buttons you can click to enable different options and things like that. But
Hmm.
if you want to go in and code something to customize it, I think that's where you're like limited. But like this one is designed to be customized by a developer, which I think in a custom, like, in a custom site situation, that I think that's what you want, you
Yeah,
know?
I like that. We
Yeah.
have I think we're still using this Wishlist app. The Wishlist app has this, like, it's pretty cool. In the app itself, in the Shopify interface, you can go in and there's like spots for you to put your custom code. And it's
Oh, okay.
organized in such a way that you can kind of click through all the different places that you can customize. And there's really nice like documentation about, okay, if you
Nice.
want this to be what's happening, then use this API and then like build your stuff around it. I
Nice.
really like that approach where it's like simple, but then also if you need something, there's this other custom area that you can layer on top.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of being able to go, as a developer, you just want to get into the code, really.
Hmm.
And so much of the time, anything you're working on, it's like, yeah, can you do it through the checkboxes in the app? Like sometimes, but most of the time, there's something you need to code. So it's like that's kind of what
Yeah,
you want. Is that Wishlist app? Is that Wishlist King?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Yeah, I
see.
remember you telling me you started using that one.
They might have changed their name.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. All the weird app name changes. It's
It's
probably called
called.
WK Wishlist King now. That's what everybody did. They just ended
Can't
up
have wish list in your name.
they
It's
just
too
ended up
close.
prefixing it with a couple initials.
Yeah, it's called Swish now.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool,
Swish
actually.
parentheses formerly Wishlist King is the name of the app.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Kind of like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
You got a list? Put a list together, or am I going to be filibustering? I don't mind filibustering.
Um, I don't have a list, but I have a problem I can talk through.
Let's do that. That
Uh,
sounds great.
I'm still in my data era.
Right.
So where I'm at now is I have Fivetran connected to Shopify and it's pulling out the raw data from Shopify, which is awesome. And then I have some DBT processes running on top of it to do things like new versus repeat analysis based on the first order from a customer versus the last order. So it does like order
And
ranking.
sorry, Fivetran is the thing that pulls it into Google BigQuery or something?
Yep, Fivetran
Okay.
pulls it from Shopify into BigQuery, and then dbt runs on top of the tables in BigQuery and makes new tables that are more convenient to query against.
Right.
So I've been building in that convenience, like making sure new versus repeat is correct, including for our imported orders, because like there's a created at time and a processed at time. So I have to use processed at instead because
Right.
they were all created at import time.
Right.
And then late last week, I got to the point where I have all of the different channel sources. So there's like, depending on if the order came from an app or a sales channel or something else, it's got either an ID or a name in this like source field. And
Mm.
so I built in convenience to understand like, okay, is this retailer online? And then like, what is the actual name of this source? Because sometimes it's an app ID. And so I
Mm.
just went in and like, okay, this app ID means shop my whatever. And then for our imported orders, I got that working too. And then I looked at all of our orders and it was like, there are way too many orders that are classified as being purchased in our San Francisco store.
Mm.
And it was fun because on top of BigQuery, you can use Looker,
Mm.
and Looker is another Google thing that like lets you do the charts. So I just threw every order into a chart split
So,
out by
so
location.
Is Looker just like a visualization library or something on
Yeah,
top
it's
of?
a
Yeah.
exactly. Like you can go in and click like in BigQuery, I want to use this data source, this schema, or you can just write a query.
Mm.
It's pretty cool, but it's like
Nice.
a lot to get into. There's so many things.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I wish I could visualize what all the sources were for
Right.
all of our orders ever. And
Right.
so I did that and it was super easy. And then I saw like the trend line does not make sense
Right.
for when we imported orders. So like from 2018 to 2023,
Yeah.
All of those orders are classified incorrectly. that's that's a lot of orders. So I found out that the reason they're classified incorrectly is because Shopify has orders and they have fulfillments.
Right.
And in between those two is a fulfillment order. Have you ever looked at fulfillment orders?
Yes. Yes. They're so confusing.
I guess when we imported them, we didn't set a location, and so Shopify might have picked one. I don't know what happened. Whatever happened, whoever imported these orders, like maybe did it wrong.
Right.
So I went in and I was like, okay, well, I have some orders from that period. And I ran this mutation fulfillment order move, which just changes the location that if you were to fulfill this order, fulfill it from this location. And we're not going to fulfill any of these. I just want to make sure that I have a reliable understanding of where was this order placed from.
Mm.
So anyway, the mutation worked, and now I have to do it on a very large number of orders. Like I can't export the data into a Google Sheet to process it from a Google Sheet because Google Sheets just doesn't support that much data. Like trying not to say how many orders we have, but it's a large number.
Dude, Google Sheets, because I searched recently, I was like, how many cells can you pull in at once over the
It's 10
Sheets
million.
API? And it was like a lot. But that's not even the limit. The limit on a Google Sheet is very high.
Yeah, the limit on a Google Sheet is 10 million
Oh
cells.
my God.
I don't have 10 million orders, but there's also a limit of the amount of data you can export from BigQuery into a Google Sheet. So anyway, long story short, I now have to learn how to build Google Cloud functions so that
Nice.
I can run this process that will have to deal with the Shopify rate limits and like churn through these like certain number at a time and then give me a dashboard to understand how far we are. And like I did some calculations and figured out like, okay, if I update 1 order per second, which is not very fast, but just speaking conservatively, if I did 1 order per second, it would take me like over a week to let this thing just run. And so I'm in this twilight zone of like I just got to put all this together, I guess, and let it run, and hopefully nothing bad happens.
Dude. And you need to update the fulfillment order.
Yep, the fulfillment order. So there's no
All right.
fulfillments for these orders, which was like another thing you had to like get around to not have to pay the GMV tax or whatever. It's like these orders aren't going to be fulfilled; they're just in Shopify. And there was some concern, like if I update an order using the order fulfillment move mutation, does it count as an order edit? Is it going to resend that order over to NetSuite? Is it going to send the customer an email? It seems like all that's fine, but I'm still going to try with like some internal employee orders at like a bigger chunk and see
Right.
if anything crazy happens before I go
Right.
too wild.
That's funny. I just checked the bulk mutations API, but there's no bulk mutation for even
Yep,
for orders.
that's where I
Yeah.
went first too. It's mostly product stuff, right?
Yeah. It has customers, but yeah. Nice.
So just gonna have to drain my API limits for a solid week.
Nice. That's a fun one, dude.
It is fun, but it's just the learning never ends. Now I have to figure out how to do Google Cloud functions on BigQuery.
Right.
I bet it's
Um,
fine.
yeah. So I built this little thing called ShopWorker. It's like an open source thing for like basically for like building little automations on Cloudflare workers.
Yeah, that looks super cool.
And
I'm sad I haven't been able to go check it out yet.
thanks, dude. But yeah, like I did a backfill the other day for like pushing orders to Google Sheets. And what I like about it, because whenever I do these integrations and stuff, like when you have to go into some server and then test something and then it runs a big batch at once or whatever, whenever I'm doing these, I always want to just like test. First, I want to just test one record at a time. So like there's a command
Mhm.
line tool for like just test one record and then you can
Nice.
see how it works and then it'll paginate through records and stuff like that. But I mean I only did like like a couple thousand records for this thing. But that would be a fun project for this too actually because that's kind of the idea is to make it easy to like build out little things like that. And then you could deploy it. You could have it run on like a little schedule or something like that and have it do like batches of, I don't know, maybe batches of like 250 every couple minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that sounds nice. That's like a lot of what I've just been talking to my boy Claude about this
nice.
project and Google Cloud Functions. I think the best part about Google Cloud Functions is it has some like nicer APIs to work against BigQuery tables.
Nice.
So I'll probably have to do that, but yeah, I should go take a look at your
Oh, so you have to
thing.
pull from BigQuery in order to have the data to update the fulfillment order?
Right.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you got to do
Yep.
it there then.
Yeah,
Nice.
like basically this data has to be in BigQuery now because
Yeah.
it's too much. So what's the best way? I mean, it'd be cool if Cloudflare could just work with BigQuery if I gave it a service worker or something.
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, you probably build a little connector to BigQuery. And then, so basically, you just need to like fetch like a chunk of those orders or whatever from BigQuery and then push over to Shopify.
Yeah, the query is super simple. You just need the fulfillment order ID,
Hmm.
and then the mutation is just the fulfillment order ID and then the ID of the location you want it to go to.
Right, right,
And so I have a table that I created that's just static now that has like the all that stuff that I need. So I just have to chunk through it and
right, right,
also come up with a way to understand what's happening over time. So
right,
I
right,
probably have some sort of like results table
right.
next to it.
I've been using the Cloudflare worker logs, which are actually pretty cool. Like, I'm so used to dealing with logs for automation systems, and they all have
Yeah.
like, especially like, for example, Flow has logs, but you can't search them for. You can search them
Mm,
for like one thing, like you can search them for the ID of the order, but then
yeah,
you
just like a full
always,
text search or whatever.
yeah. And so Cloudflare Workers has full text search, and you can just whatever you console log out is boom, it's in there. And they have a pretty high free tier. So like you could just as you're chunking through those, you could just log out like the order name, like the previous fulfillment location and then the
Hmm.
new one and just log those babies out and then as it's running, you probably spot check some of them and then just let it rip. And then if something weird happens, you have a log of everything. And I think,
Nice.
yeah,
I would not be surprised if Cloudflare's logs had some sort of query syntax. Have you seen that?
I don't know because I just searched in the dashboard, which I think is the only way to search them. I don't think there's an API, but I just did regular. I just did a regular search, and it just
Gotcha.
pulled it up.
We had this product for a while when we were on Magento. It was called Sumo Logic. Have you ever worked with one of those?
Oh, that sounds so familiar, but I might be
It was
thinking
pretty
of
cool. You
AppSumo or
could do
something.
like wildcards as part of a search. So you could
Oh,
try and figure
gotcha.
out like a lot of what I was doing back then was trying to figure out what these bots were doing and like block the bots. So I had
Right,
to
right, right.
like figure out what their signature was and look at it.
Oh,
Um,
right.
I bet if Cloudflare has logs, they're probably either working on that or they have it already. They do it with all their stuff. They just freaking do it.
Dude, they're so good, man. I love it. I love it so much. Let me see worker logs. I think there's also log push, I think, which lets you push your logs somewhere else. But I think, yeah, let
Oh,
me
it says you
see.
can store them in R2. Maybe that's what makes them queryable.
No,
Yeah, that's it.
out of the box, it doesn't store them in R2. You just enable observability. I don't
Gotcha.
think it stores them in R2 because I did have to create a couple R2 buckets or whatever.
Yeah, what is
And
R2? Is that their file storage?
yes. R2 is like I guess like their S3.
Got it.
So funny. All the terms they use.
I know S3 is
Um,
like simple something storage.
simple object storage or something like that.
Simple storage service. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like, so you might be better off just using logs. I mean, you could build out a dashboard, but you might be fine with just using your logs. You just want to be able to like make sure you can probably search them because like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
can't search them, then you're
It's
kind
going to
of
be a lot of logs.
yeah.
Also,
But
since I'm on BigQuery, I could probably just put stuff into a table and then run a join to see like how stuff is going. Maybe
that's
that
true.
works.
That's true. Yeah, because then you could like mark them as fixed, and then you could join on the ones that are fixed and
Yeah.
spot check them and stuff like that.
Who knows, man? Week to week, I'm just like, okay, guess I'm doing Google Cloud stuff.
Yeah, nice. That's a fun one. But yeah, I'm kind of pumped about this ShopWorker thing because like there's always so many limitations in automation tools like that. It's nice to just be able to write some code. I kind of optimized it for cursors so that like you can just you can just prompt it and then be like, create a job that does this, does that, and then it knows like where the triggers are, where the job files are, like how to create a job, and then each job just takes in like an input, like a trigger, does some stuff.
I just had a
Yeah,
question about it.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No. Go ahead, go ahead.
I think when you started this, it was more of a like easy way to create webhooks, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so now you've built on top of that, the webhooks can also generate jobs. And so like a job is a thing.
yeah. Each job has a trigger and then basically like an action. But instead of having like a set of actions and a set of blah 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 conditions, blah blah blah, the action is all just node. So you
Got it.
do whatever you want to do in there. And then there's a manual trigger for like running, like the backfill job was just a one time thing. I didn't need it to run on a server or on a schedule. So I just ran it locally. So it's just like
Hmm.
a manual trigger. But then I'll probably add like a schedule trigger, you know,
I
and
see.
stuff like that. So like I had a couple clients that had some automations, but they wanted some changes and there were some issues like certain things like for example like with an automation tool like you might have something that takes your orders and puts them into Google Sheets on create, but then you
Hmm.
go okay well also want to update them, and it's like okay now you got to go in, you got to like do a lookup for the update, like it gets a lot more complicated to do like things like updates and backfills.
Hmm.
I was able to use it for a couple little client things, and I'm hoping I can find some more little excuses to use it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's super. So
it's
each new job is it a new edge worker that's
um,
listening for a ping from?
it's actually the whole thing is one worker because I was thinking about if they should be separate workers, but it's like if they're separate workers, then they have separate law. I mean, they have separate like everything is kind of yeah. So it's all one worker, and then you just have as many basically routes that are configured and webhooks and stuff like that.
Got it.
Um, yeah. So, but each
So
job is like a job JS file that takes
gotcha.
in takes in like a JSON payload from the trigger and then does stuff.
Okay, so your tool creates in your tool you say, I want to do something on order create.
Yeah.
And so your tool goes and creates the webhook listener for order
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
and routes all of the incoming data from that listener
Right.
into a job that does a
Right.
thing.
Right. Right.
Cool.
Yeah, and then the logs are right in there. The free tier is so high that like there's I think quite a few use cases that you could get for
Yeah.
free. I mean,
It's like
something
a
like
million runs a month or something. Like
yeah, it's like it's ridiculous. So that's kind of cool. And then the logs are pretty. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted just a full text search on logs. Like it's so important because anytime something unexpected happens, it's like, oh well, these variants with this meta field value didn't save correctly. okay, how do I find those? On an
Hmm.
inventory update trigger in
Hmm.
Flow, I have 5 billion Flow runs.
Ah, I
and,
see. So that's
and
the
the,
benefit over flow.
yeah, yeah, which is kind of weird timing because I'm doing some Flow templates too.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So I guess you now have this like decision to make each time you run into a problem is should I use flow or should I use this
well,
service worker thing?
yeah, it's so much fast. Like to go into Flow and click around, like you got to click here, you got to click there, you got to find your variables, you got to like, it's so much manual clicking. And then you can literally just with one prompt, like it'll just do it. it'll just
Nice.
like, it'll just do it. It's like, it's awesome. I mean, and of course you have to be able to understand the code and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I've gotten so used to the vibe coding that like just clicking around and stuff is brutal,
Just
you
gotta
know?
give it up to the machines, man.
Yeah.
I was really happy with Flow the other day. Someone was like, I want our customer support team to respond to 1 and 2 star reviews.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's probably easy. And I
Hmm.
went into Flow, and there's a trigger for receive new review.
Oh,
And then
nice.
I can easily set it to less than or equal to 2. And then HTTP request over to Zendesk to create a ticket. It was pretty nice. Like the hardest part
Nice.
was just figuring out what the format of the API call to Zendesk was. And that wasn't even
Nice.
that bad.
Sweet, dude. By the way, I may or may not have access currently to the HTTP response. um, Send HTTP
What?
response.
Sweet.
Cannot confirm or deny. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean,
Um,
you do get the HTTP response if it fails. So
right?
you get it on success. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So I'm building out a couple templates for that. Those
Oh,
those like
cool.
use cases. Yeah, it's kind of cool. That's a cool little flow for reviews. That's a
Yeah,
great. That's a
sometimes it
great
just
little one.
works.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great little. That's a solid little flow.
What does drink your own champagne mean?
I was just looking at that one. So I was listening to this podcast. It was like this AI podcast, and it was like this AI solutions architect or something that was talking. And it's basically another version of eat your own dog food. And it made me so mad when I heard her say that. It was like, it just bothered me to no end. It's like one of these, like, say something in a less, I don't know,
Yeah,
less.
like no, our product is not dog food. It's champagne.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh my God.
We're all out here making champagne. I mean, I would love to drink my own champagne. If I made champagne, I would drink it all the time.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the phrase is that, like, there's problems with your stuff. That's the whole, there's always, like, that's the whole point is that we're not making champagne out of the box. There's issues, and if you don't actually use it, you don't
Mm,
you don't find them.
got it. So it's more like when it's dog food, it's like you consciously have to do it.
Yeah.
And
It's like it's painful. Like if it was champagne, we'd all drink our own champagne. It wouldn't be hard, you know?
I just Google searched this, and the top Reddit thread is I sometimes buy champagne just to drink it alone.
That's funny. I should probably do that one day. In better news, also another one from Jordan from Pimsicle. Shout out to Jordan. We're gonna
Shout
have to
out.
do a episode title. He made a GraphQL linter that
Hmm.
I think it basically. I haven't checked it out yet, but I always have this issue where I'm writing GraphQL and then like also cursor is really bad at it. It'll do the wrong fields for things. And so I think it just auto detects against the schema and drops a
Gotcha.
little like linting error message in your
Which,
ID or
like,
something.
I feel like everyone thinks that's what the whole point of an MCP is, right? Like, it's supposed to,
Yeah.
that's what it's supposed to do, but I guess it doesn't, so you need this extra step.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it really well, but also even if but the cool thing about the linter is even if you're writing it by yourself, like even if you're not prompting to
Oh,
generate
gotcha.
the GraphQL, it would help with that. But yeah, I don't understand MCPs. I don't understand how they work. They never seem to work that well. Every time I see a demo of a cool MCP in Claude, it like prompts you to click to confirm every single time, which is
Hmm.
just, it feels so clunky. They're like, check out this cool thing. Click, 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 click. I don't know how the MCP works. Like, does it try to determine in your prompt which query like it needs to reference and then it passes that over or something like that? I wish I understood better how they worked.
I get, like, my guess is that when you have a schema as part of the MCP, it's in the context for the language model, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to abide by it. Like, it can still hallucinate, I guess.
Yeah.
But it feels like like something that would be useful is when it comes up with a response, it should use that schema to lint against what they just generated, and if it doesn't match, then fix it. But it seems like maybe that's
Yeah.
not the case.
I think it like the MCP kicks in before it generates the code. Because if I say like, okay, change my query to do this and that, then it'll be
Hmm.
like, okay, hitting the MCP, and then it'll be like, okay, generating the code, and then it'll generate the code. So the MCP didn't see. I don't think the MCP saw the code edit. It just saw the prompt. I think. I don't know, man. I don't
No,
know
that
how these
matches the
things.
way I understand it. Like, the model knows what it can do, it goes and does that thing
Mhm.
and gets more context.
Hmm.
And now it understands a bit more about what it should do.
Hmm.
But once it creates something, before it delivers, I feel like it should always check it against whatever schema is part of the MCP.
Hmm. That's the thing is I don't know if MCPs have schemas that they can return back
Well, that's part of the
or.
Shopify MCP. I saw one of the things was a big schema that just included the entire GraphQL schema.
So can you see the source code for the MCP or?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
That's what I was poking around.
So then I wonder, does the MCP just feed the whole full schema back?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or does it try to find the part of the schema? That would be too big because the GraphQL schema is big. So I'm guessing it probably tries to identify which part of the schema to send back. Maybe that's
Maybe
what.
the entire schema, here, I'll send you a link right now. The entire schema in the GitHub repository is 622 kilobytes, so it's not nothing.
Mhm. Oh, I thought it was bigger than that.
This open source Shopify dev MCP project is like the only reason I know anything about MCP is because I just read through this, like the source
Nice.
and stuff. I should have tweeted it.
Yeah.
Speaking of all of this stuff, I'm still in Claude chat, just hanging out with Claude,
Yeah.
and it's doing like an interesting job. It keeps changing the way it generates code.
Hmm.
Now it does it over in a little pane over on the right side, like when I'm just
Hmm.
talking through, okay, if there's this thing I want to do, like the Google Cloud scripting or whatever, it generates a bunch of code. And then when you do a follow up, like don't do it this way, or like here's this other thing that I kind of forgot to tell you about, you can watch and it deletes lines, characters at a time, and then puts in new stuff. It's really interesting. Instead of recreating the whole thing, it goes and edits the thing that's already there. And I'm kind of scared. Like, is it deleting the right spots?
Right, right, right.
I don't know.
Like it applies a diff, kind of.
I'm guessing that's what it does. Yeah, it comes up with a diff and then applies it. And the first time it did that, it missed something and had to go in and fix it manually.
Right, right. We'll look at the diff and then kind of like before I commit it, I'll review the git diff to make sure like nothing crazy
Hmm.
happened. But sometimes
Now
it's
you're
a
just
lot of
reading through the MCP code, I can tell.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to as if I'm gonna understand it that fast,
It's not
dude.
like there's not a lot going on. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's actually super helpful. I'll dig into that. That's a good one to look at to try to understand what the hell's going on. I used Claude, so I got asked to do some code review for this app,
Hmm.
and I popped in, I looked at a couple things, and then I was like, I noticed a couple things, and then I was just kind of like, oh God, I hate code review so much. Um, but then I popped into Claude Code, the terminal one, which is really good at like understanding like a whole code base at once kind of a thing. And it was so helpful, dude. Like I just was like, okay, well, you give me an overview of what it's doing, and then it put that into like a document. Like give me an overview of the architecture, and then
Hmm.
like, okay, where is it sending the things to the API? How is it doing paginate? Or like just different things like that. It was such a nice little way to get familiar with the code base.
Does it understand what you're looking for and like present it to you somehow? Like, oh, that's in this file over here and
Yeah,
highlight
yeah. I
it or
mean, like
something?
I'll say highlight some of the important files and what they is like by default. If you run Claude in it, it gives like a little overview of the project, which is like a decent overview. But then I asked like for some more details, like tell me some of the important files and like get and tell me what they do. So then, it like identified those and it just explained. And then it like explained the flow of data from one system to the next. Because it's like a
Cool.
sync from Shopify to another system. And it explained the data flow and da da da. And I was like, it was just such a cool, like, there's all these AI use cases that are not necessarily obvious, like you think like, oh, well, AI lets you create, a video game in 5 minutes so you can get rich. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
But then it's like, it takes the pain out of code review and just helps you to actually like review code more easily.
So
It's
this is
kind of cool.
a command line, and so like you install this and you talk to it from within the code base's directory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how Cloud Code works. It's like it's just a command line. It's not within an IDE, which takes like I don't use it that much day to day because it takes some getting used to. It's weird for me to not be within an IDE,
Yeah.
like that's a little more comfortable for me, but it's more expensive, especially for like writing code, but actually just for like asking questions, it was pretty cheap because like that's pretty easy for it to do. It's so much harder to like refactor a code base or something like that. But yeah, it's good at like understanding the whole code base, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is interesting. Does it tell you how much it spent every time you
It does.
like ask a
It
question?
well, when you exit the session, it tells you the cost. So like, dude, the other thing I tried to do was I was looking at the Shopify order details liquid, order confirmation email liquid, which is like 1,600 lines. I don't know if you've looked at it. Like
Oh yeah,
it's brutal. And I
the
was
emails are tough.
I was gonna try to convert it to a flow format, which would need different liquid variables. So then the first thing I wanted to do was like the indentation is all jacked up in there. So I wanted to just clean up the indentation so that it was just like a clean slate to work with.
Hmm.
But there was like a linter error in there. And I was like, I don't want to. So I tried to get Claude Code to do it. Dude, I swear, dude, I've had it refactor hundreds of lines of code. The most I've ever seen it take is like, it'll chug for like a minute. Dude, it chugged for 1,200 seconds on the order details liquid. And then eventually I just stopped it. It didn't even finish. I just stopped it and it cost $1.50 just for
Oh
that.
no.
Yeah. It was
Guess I
crazy.
got to use my brain power on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those emails are kind of gnarly. You just gotta
Dude,
like
they're rough.
like zoom in on what you're actually trying to update. Like there's some stuff we do. Like we had to add final sale in there because we have
Yeah,
final sale on the front end, and so we
yeah,
had to like figure out how to do that. And it's like totally different than how you would do it in raw liquid.
right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, you just dip in, you fix your thing, you dip out. You try not to
Yeah.
think too much about the whole thing.
I Command A, copy, paste that into somewhere else, and
Yeah,
then like,
yeah,
in case everything falls apart,
yeah.
put that back in there.
What it needs is like to be able to have subsections, like to
Mm,
render out sub snippet. It needs snippets
yeah,
is what would be great.
that would be nice.
Yeah, but yeah,
Gonna have to
no.
bring that up next week, a couple weeks from now.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. So at
I
additions,
heard
right?
that there's going to be, yeah, I was talking to our account manager, and it sounds like there's booths for different teams, so you can like walk around and talk to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got any
That'll
teams
be
that
great.
you're wanting to talk to in
Yeah, I
particular?
want to go. I don't know if it's the fulfillment team, but I
Mm,
wanted to talk about exchanges. I know there's some interesting things
mm,
happening with exchanges infrastructure.
right.
I think they already did some nice stuff. Like in the new exchange endpoint, you can see point of sale and online exchanges all in one, which
Mm,
wasn't the case a little while ago.
mm.
So we were talking about that.
Nice.
Who else? It's always cool to see what the Liquid team is working on. Like I think his name is Ben.
Yeah,
So it'd be cool to go hang out with them for a little bit.
nice. This will be our last pod before the event. So
Ayo!
yeah, it's exciting. Well, it'd be good to meet Paul for the first time with
Yeah.
Flo. Paul, the Flow PM, that'd be awesome. Um,
I mean, I'm sure I'll
and
walk around and talk to everyone. It's such a
yeah,
cool opportunity.
yeah, it's really cool, man. It's such a cool event. Just go with the flow. See what happens.
Same. Hopefully
Yeah,
my hotel won't get canceled. I booked
yeah.
that last. I think I booked that earlier this week.
Oh, nice. The hotels are expensive, dude.
Yeah, they're
How
they're not cheap.
how much was the hotel? I was like the ones we were looking at were like minimum 250, and those ones were like not great.
I think where I ended up.
I mean, they were nice, but I'm just saying they weren't like, I mean,
I
you
think
want
what I got was some sort of apartment. I forget what they call it. We use this thing called Hotel Engine, and they changed their name to Engine.
oh, that's weird.
I'm
Hotel
at
Engine,
the
and they changed it to Engine?
yeah.
That's a weird name. But it's
Where's the
so
cost
pretty
of
over
this
there,
thing?
dude. Like, there's like this little, you're right on the water, and then there's like this cool, like, park, green area, walkway, like, walk space, path. It's like super. And then last time I was staying up by the airport, so I didn't get to chill out there too much. But this time I'm closer, so I'm pumped, dude. It's
Nice.
so pretty there.
Yeah, I think I'm at the Life Suites Loft. I got that for around 250 it looks like.
Oh, not
And it
bad,
looks
dude.
not bad.
Not bad at
It
all.
looks like I should be able to walk over to the I don't know if I will, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Nice. Sweet, dude.